So I'm very interested in your collaboration because I understood you worked together on the screenplay for this. Talk a little bit about how you two came together from two very different fields.
Yeah, so it was like you said, it was a collaboration that was constantly in flux for about 2 years of us working on the script. I wrote the script, obviously in final draft, but she was very much a part of the story and crafting the characters in the story. And we actually came together through the love of boxing back in 2017. That's how our founder, through social media, through a friend's boxing gym, and I was immediately drawn to her, not just because she is a legit world champion boxer, and I was watching her video, I was like, whoa, she's amazing. But I was really drawn to her using her platform, to really talk about stuff that she fights for and talk about her community and all that stuff. And at the time, I was researching and learning more about the MMIW crisis in North America. And so and she was speaking to those things. So I wanted to reach out to her, and I wanted to just talk to her and see if she's interested in a movie, if she's interested in acting, have an idea of something germinating in my head. And of course, it was one of those things where I first started hanging out with her, and we're both OCD Virgos. We're both mixed kids that are confused. So we just had an immediate connection. And at the time, she's always in training. She's always preparing for fights because she's a professional fighter. So once I saw the opportunity to go to a gym and with my camera and just like kind of watch her hit the bag and watch her spar with these dudes. And then in that moment, inexplicable, I don't know what this film is exactly going to be, but I gotta go on this journey. I see something, I feel something with this film and with her as a warrior. So then, it was important to me to invite her into the collaborative process and get her perspective and input on the story. And so we started to work on everything over the course of 2 years, preparing her to act, building the character. We knew that we wanted to, we both have close relationships with our siblings. So we wanted to ground a missing sibling in that process. And we wanted to obviously bring some personal elements of her life into the character, making her a fighter. We wanted to bring this character, like make this really strong, powerful fighter who's kind of fallen from the graces, and sort of meet her and go on this journey that you think is one thing, but it's really another thing. And so, yeah, it was really a 2-year collaboration of constantly in flux, constantly changing. When we were rehearsing and shooting, I would bring my friend who was an actor, and we'd work a lot of the material, and we were constantly changing stuff as we were going along. So it's very much that was very much the process.
Yeah. So Kali, talk a little bit about for you what it was like coming into, obviously you're into a very physical world, but you have interests in a lot of these social issues. So what was it like working in, really a different medium to kind of merge those two worlds?
I mean, it was basically parallel to why I fight, and the fact of the context of the idea he had with the film being something that I feel strongly and try to put my all into bringing awareness to, and his approach to this telling this story, but not knowing it wasn't his story to tell, but really respecting the perspective of myself as just one Indigenous woman, but also the perspective of a whole nation of people that experienced this genocide, and something that's been happening for so long. Immediately, just the way he had the approach of wanting to tell this story was, I was hooked. And being an artist, and even though I call boxing an art, and I'm just, like you said, OCD Virgo and very expressive, I jumped on the opportunity to, number one, to explore this acting thing that I was really wanting to get into, just didn't know how to, as well as using this as another way to bring awareness to a very an underrepresented group of people. Like, we're the first people of this land, with always the last to be talked about and represented. So there's so many parallels with acting. The discipline I have with boxing is over 20 years. I want to get the best out of myself to perform in the ring, just like I wanted to get the best out of myself to perform and tell this story. And with Indigenous people, telling stories is how we pass down information, and it's also part of a healing process that our people need right now. And if I have a voice, I'm going to use it. If I have a platform, I'm going to use it. And if I need to fight in the ring or outside the ring for something or someone that's way bigger than just me, then I'll take the opportunity to do so. And
Yeah, I was really interested in your personal statement that I saw where you talked about how fighting was in your blood and it was part of your calling. Can you talk a little bit about that statement and the feelings behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started off boxing as needing an outlet, and a lot of times, coming from a mixed racial background of being Cape Verdean and Native, but not being your quote unquote typical Native American who's grew up on a reservation, also in a household where I was Native and my mother was Christian. So I was biracial, spiritual but religious, and confused as hell because I'm also two spirit. So it was just a big jumble of a confusing thing. Being one of five kids, being the baby, coming from a broken home, I just needed an outlet, and what I was doing wasn't working for me. So to start off as like an outlet and then manifest it into what I do now, and really finding my path and fighting for a whole nation of people. And energy is real. We all have our medicine. He makes film, that's his art. You may have a medicine of whatever, but nobody can tell you how to pray. Nobody can tell you how something makes you feel. I knew being out there, being like one in the million Native American fighters that actually was successful, and having a familiar face for these people, we get misrepresented and underrepresented, that I had to do something, and it's bigger than myself. And just having that intention behind why I fight. Every fight, every punch is a prayer, and I put that up. I may not be in a church, I may not be in your traditional prayer, but that's my energy. And fighting, we fight for those who can't fight, we speak for those who can't speak, we dance for those who can't dance, and this is my medicine. So it's extremely important for me to have my people behind me and with me. It's not behind me, it's we're working side by side and just spreading this good energy, and just really stop being so sad about everything and start getting a little angry and having that justified anger to bring awareness to our people and just to be that catalyst to change.
Yeah. Um, it's a really powerful movie. Why did you both, come together? I mean, this issue of the exploitation of Indigenous women is a huge one and very underreported. How did you focus it on telling this story? I mean, what did you really want to bring out with this story about this really important and undertold story?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's first of all, it's as you research it more and you learn about it, it's something that's just so deeply tied deep into our history. And it was there's just it's a huge topic. There's so many elements to it. And me and Kaylee, we had spending a lot of time with each other and talking about, we had a lot of big ideas. There's a lot of themes. It's really deep, hard themes and dark stuff that it's touching on. And we kept coming back to focusing it just on this character, just on this one person, meaning let's take the frustration and the rage and the guilt and all those feelings, and let's put it on the shoulder of this character, this one character, and take the audience on this one cathartic specific ride, and sort of she be the anchor for the emotionality of all those different things. If that makes sense. We wanted to kind of just ground it in just this one person's journey, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And just having, like you said, it's one person, one character, and she's extremely strong, but it's also something that we had to make it be relatable to remind the audience that this is a real issue, and that it does happen in everywhere, and it could be happening right next door, and it's been happening for far, far too long.
Yeah, indeed. So let's talk a little bit about what was it like for you to, Kali, to act in these roles and do something, work in a different medium than you're used to. And for you, Joseph, like, what was it like working with someone who was a novice to it and bringing them into kind of your world with it?
Sure.
I mean, as like I said before, being a natural artist, especially with boxing, it's such an art. It's such you have to be very calm in so much chaos. And being on set, even though I was blessed to have a cast and crew that was like so amazing, you have to still be grounded in your work. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter how many people are cheering out in the crowd. You still have somebody in front of you. You have a camera in front of you. You have to perform. So it wasn't so much of it as a challenge as it was interesting to find this new talent. Evidently, I didn't realize that I had, and the determination to do it at the best of my ability. It didn't really matter. And the fact that I had such a supportive connection with everybody, especially Joseph and the producers. We kind of like built a little four-man wolf pack kind of a thing. I was so comfortable and I knew I was supported that it was easier for me to be very vulnerable in this character that's very broken, that is very, very similar to a lot of things in my life, that just the support was really easy for me to explore this newfound talent